You ever wonder why some men walk into a room and women just gravitate toward them? They're not the richest, they're not the best looking, but somehow they carry a quiet confidence that's magnetic. Here's the truth that most men don't realize. Being irresistible isn't about chasing women, flexing wealth, or constantly trying to prove yourself. It's about mastering social skills that radiate masculine energy, emotional control, and calm presence. The kind of traits that Stoic men embodied centuries ago, and that women still crave today. In this video, I'm going to break down 9 powerful social skills rooted in Stoic philosophy and real-world psychology that make you stand out. These are the behaviors that don't just impress a woman, they draw her in without effort. So let's dive into it. 1. Commanding presence. You don't need to be the loudest guy in the room to stand out. In fact, the man who speaks the least but carries himself with intention often commands the most attention. Commanding presence isn't about being aggressive, it's about being grounded. When you walk into a room, your posture, your eye contact, your pace, they all send a silent message. I know who I am. I don't need approval. This is Stoicism in action. You're not moved by the chaos around you. You don't fidget, seek validation, or try too hard. You exist in your own frame, and that's powerful. A man with presence doesn't chase conversations. He listens more than he speaks. He pauses before he talks. And when he does speak, it's intentional, not rushed. Women notice this immediately. Why? Because presence creates safety. It signals maturity. It's rare. And in a world full of overstimulated, reactive men, a man who remains calm, composed and centered is a breath of fresh air. 2. Subtle humor. You don't need to be a stand-up comedian to be attractive. In fact, overdoing humor can make you seem insecure. But subtle humor, dry wit, calm sarcasm, that's the kind of charm that gets under her skin. Stoic humor doesn't try to steal the spotlight. It's not goofy, and it doesn't seek laughter as approval. Instead, it's clever, it's unexpected, and it's confidently timed. Here's the trick. Humor, when used right, shows emotional intelligence. It signals that you're relaxed, present, and not taking yourself or the situation too seriously. You're comfortable in the moment. That comfort becomes contagious. The key here is restraint. Don't force jokes. Let the humor sneak in through observation, through irony, through calm playfulness. Like when she says, "I'm terrible at texting," you can smile slightly and say, "Yeah, I noticed. Took you 2 weeks to reply." That kind of confident teasing, it hits different. And more importantly, women remember it, because it doesn't come from a place of desperation. It comes from a man who's emotionally composed enough to stay playful under pressure. 3. Mastering eye contact. You can say more with your eyes than you can with a paragraph of words. The way you look at a woman, calm, steady, unrushed, tells her everything she needs to know about your confidence. Most men either avoid eye contact out of nervousness or overdo it and come across as creepy. The balance lies in being unshaken. You look at her not to dominate, but to connect. Not to impress, but to observe. That's what Stoic confidence looks like. It's not about staring, it's about presence. You hold her gaze just long enough to show strength, then break it with ease, like it's no big deal. Why does this work? Because women are masters of emotional reading. They feel when a man is nervous. They sense desperation. But a man who can look into her eyes calmly, without flinching, without needing anything in return, triggers a deep instinct in her. It says, "I see you. I'm not intimidated, I'm not impressed, I'm just here." That silent confidence, it's unforgettable. 4. Controlled speech. Most guys rush when they talk to a woman they're attracted to. They stumble over words, fill the air with nonsense, and lose control of the frame. But the man who slows down, who pauses between thoughts, who doesn't mind silence, is the man she listens to. Stoic speech is measured. You don't talk to impress. You speak to convey meaning. Every word has weight. Every pause creates tension. And in that silence, she leans in. She listens harder. Talking slowly also shows you're not anxious. You're not trying to fill space. You're not afraid of rejection. You know your value, and you allow her the space to feel your presence. Think about it. When someone speaks fast, it signals insecurity. But when someone speaks slow, calm, and clear, it signals leadership. And women instinctively follow the emotional tone you set. If your voice is calm, she relaxes. If your pace is unrushed, she leans in. And if your energy is grounded, she starts to match it. 5. Emotional restraint. Here's a trait that most men overlook: emotional discipline. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about not reacting like a boy when things don't go your way. Let's say she tests you, throws a sarcastic comment, pulls back emotionally. The average guy panics. He overreacts. He chases. He explains. But the stoic man, he breathes. He smiles. He doesn't take the bait. Why? Because his emotions aren't on display for manipulation. He doesn't let external drama shake his internal calm. And that, my friend, is rare. Women will test you, not because they're cruel, but because they want to know, are you strong enough to lead emotionally? Can you stay grounded when things get uncomfortable? When you pass that test, when you show restraint, emotional discipline, and calm under pressure, she starts to respect you on a deep level. She realizes she can't control you with emotions, and ironically, that's when she starts chasing yours. 6. Active listening. Most men listen to respond, but the high-value man listens to understand. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't hijack the conversation. He pays attention, not just to the words, but to the tone, the pauses, the emotions underneath. That's what active listening is. It's a stoic skill most men overlook because it's subtle. But here's the truth. When a woman feels heard, she feels safe. And when she feels safe, she opens up. You don't need to agree with everything she says. You don't even need to fix her problems. You just need to be present, grounded, curious. Instead of waiting for your turn to speak, you focus on her. You nod. Ask follow-up questions. Echo her feelings in your own words. It might sound simple, but to her, it's rare. When a woman talks about her day, most guys drift off or change the topic. But the man who listens fully, without judgment, shows emotional strength. He's not threatened by emotions. He doesn't need to dominate the conversation. He holds space, and that's incredibly powerful. She won't remember every word you said, but she'll always remember how you made her feel, and if she feels understood around you, she'll crave that connection like oxygen. 7. Subtle leadership. Leadership isn't about barking orders or showing dominance. It's about taking initiative with quiet confidence, and that's exactly what women find irresistible. Subtle leadership shows in the small things: choosing where to meet without hesitation, guiding the conversation with direction, making decisions while considering her needs, but not seeking her approval. This is what stoic leadership looks like. You don't need to prove you're in charge. You know you are, because your actions speak louder than your ego ever could. Women respect men who lead because it gives them space to relax. She doesn't want to carry the emotional or logistical weight of the connection. She wants a man who can handle pressure, solve problems, and move with clarity. But here's the key. Subtle leadership doesn't ignore her input. It welcomes it. It listens, but it never abdicates direction. You're the captain of the ship, but she's your trusted advisor. This balance of strength and openness creates a dynamic that most men miss. And when you master it, she won't just follow your lead, she'll trust it. 8. Boundary mastery. Respect yourself first. Women are naturally drawn to men who have strong, clear boundaries. Why? Because boundaries show self-respect. And if you respect yourself, she'll start respecting you too. Let's be real. Too many guys bend over backward to keep a woman interested. They tolerate disrespect. They avoid confrontation. They let things slide because they fear losing her. But here's the truth. Every time you let a boundary slide, you lose a piece of your value in her eyes. Stoic men don't beg for attention. They don't chase validation. And they definitely don't tolerate disrespect, no matter how attractive the woman is. If she's late, you acknowledge it. If she crosses a line, you address it directly, calmly, without anger. You don't punish, you correct, with firmness and clarity. A man with boundaries doesn't need to raise his voice. He simply removes himself from disrespectful energy. And that absence sends a louder message than any words ever could. Here's the paradox. When you stop fearing the loss of her, you gain real power. She starts realizing you're not emotionally dependent. And in that realization, she feels your strength. And strength is the foundation of attraction. 9. Strategic mystery. Don't reveal everything too soon. Here's one of the most underrated social skills, mystery. In a world where everyone overshares, the man who keeps a little to himself becomes 10 times more attractive. It's not about being secretive. It's about being intentional with what you share. You don't need to tell your life story in the first conversation. You don't need to dump your emotions or explain your every move. Let her wonder about you. Let her ask the questions. Let her chase the details. This is where Stoic restraint plays a huge role. When a woman senses that you're not emotionally thirsty, that you don't need to prove anything, that there's more to you than what meets the eye, she gets curious, intrigued, invested. Every time she walks away from a conversation with you and feels like there's more to uncover, you become more attractive in her mind. Mystery is tension, and tension is what fuels attraction. Don't always text first. Don't always explain your day. Don't always be available. Let her sit in that uncertainty. Let her feel that slight emotional gap. Because in that space, she starts craving your presence. Here's the truth, my friend. Being irresistible isn't about chasing women. It's about becoming a man who doesn't need to chase. A man who commands attention just by how he carries himself. A man who leads with calm, listens with depth, and lives with purpose. Master these 9 social skills, not to manipulate, but to elevate. Because the more grounded you become, the more magnetic you are. If this video helped you shift your mindset, share it with a brother who needs it. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dive content on masculinity, mindset, and mastering the game of life. Until next time, stay calm, stay sharp, stay dangerous.